Saturday morning, November 18th, 2017, at the Sharp Park 7-Eleven, getting myself a cup of some Big Energy coffee. And here we go. Okay, so this is the totality of the gear that we're taking out there today to do some fishing and crabbing. Crab snaring, that is. That's the spot we're looking at today. Down there in that corner. It's just about high tide, and it looks like we'll be able to make it out there. And if we can make it out on the high tide, we should be able to make it back out on the low tide. But there never are any guarantees with the ocean. So since we're going to the north side of Grey Whale Cove today, we're going down the stairs on the north side to get to the beach. And this is what they look like. Be careful, there's some peat moss growing on the sides. You can see kind of a green tinge on the left and on the right of the stairs. And plus, a lot of the stairs are broken. So you have to watch your step here. See, like that stair right there? See how it broke off? There's quite a few of them like that. Primo surf conditions for surf perch fishing. Just look at that. Sometimes when I have an hour or two after work, I'll come stand on this rock right here and throw down right over there. As a matter of fact, if you look at my Facebook page, you'll see that that school of jack smelt I caught that time. It was right there, and I was shaking 4 of those grubs on a little sabiki. Y'all's got to watch those waves. Actually, if you take a straight line and you go straight down from the submarine lookout station up there, and you go down to the rock, the first rock before you're in the water there, that's exactly where we're going to be standing today. This little hole right here, you can see it fills up, and as you just pass the rocks about 5 feet, there's a little spot there where I can get my footing and get up on that rock before the water comes. Much better to do on a low tide, but the sand is high enough where this is almost a 5.8 or 5.9 high tide. Wow, look at that. And I might be able to make it out there if I count my intervals right. Okay, we've taken this gear off, and we'll try making it down that gauntlet in a couple of hours when the tide recedes. Now we're going to set up a pole here for snaring right off the surf here. A little later, I'm going a little bit further out there where, well, who knows? There might be more crabs on the inside than the outside. Unless you're swimming around down there in the ocean, taking a look, who knows? But I just strung this reel here with some 20-pound tests I had sitting around for a couple of years. So we'll chuck the snare out with this one, and then maybe even put a fishing rod in at the same time. I didn't bring my rod holder for the sand because I thought I was going to be out there to start with. But there's nobody down here, so I think I could throw the crab snare real close to the rocks there, put the pole over here to the side, and then set my other pole up for some perching, because this looks primo fishing for perch right here. If they're out there, like I said, you never know. This 20, possibly 30 pound test, I don't know, it doesn't really make a difference for crabbing. The thinner, the lighter your test is, the further you can cast it though, because the thinner the line is, the farther you can throw. That's why a lot of guys throw braided. But anyways, we're gonna hook up this nice size snap swivel here to this line, and then we're gonna grab that with the snap swivel. Okay, here's our crab snare, and now to open this little basket up, you just and you open it up, and that's where you put your squid. We're really good at stealing this out of your crab snare, so you want to make sure that you pack it in there real good. So I think I'll stick this extra chuck it in the water. Let's see how far we can throw this thing. Okay, we're gonna pull this crab snare up for now. It just looks too good. It looks too much like surf perch fishing tide right now for me to fool around with crabs. We will fool around with crabs a little bit later when we get a little bit further out there. I was just thinking of a little tip too that I could give you, is that if you're right directly on the surf and you find your crab snare kind of drifting with the current, it's not that bad out there right now, but I'm just saying, if you do find it kind of drifting with the current and you have to keep throwing it back out there, what you can do is you can add a little more weight. You can pick up these flat crab snare weights at Coastside and add them to your snare so that it stays on the bottom a little more firmly. So let's go for some surf perch, because I know they're out there. Here, doesn't feel like anything real big. I might have picked up a smaller perch here. When I use these gulp worms, I always let the drag out a little bit, because if it's a bigger fish and they're trying to pull up that whole worm, you let the drag out, and then they won't just tear the worm off of there. You have a better chance of giving them an opportunity to bite into the whole worm, so you don't lose the half that's hanging from the hook. All right, here's a barred perch. This is a little guy. We're gonna let him go. Okay. And let's see, we'll just take it real nice and easy here with him, so we don't hurt him. And he liked that gulp worm, as you can see. There you go. He's going back in the water. Too small for a barred perch. If that was a silver perch, that'd be full grown. But he's a whole different species. Okay, here we go. We got something on there. You can hear the drag rolling, because I like to keep the drag on when I'm using these bile worms there. This one looks a little bit better. It looks like a perch. Let's see, what do we got here? That's another small barred perch. We're gonna let this guy go. The little guys are in right now. They like to travel with people their own size, or fish their own size or whatever. You can see they love that larger sized pile worm, even more so than the little one. It looks more real. Because when you shake a pile worm of this size. Okay, here we are in the trench, about 50 yards south of the north side, and I think I got something small on there. Let me see. Possibly. Let's just pull it in. It's a small one. We can let him go. Yeah, looks like a small silver perch. Yeah, too small for me to take home. There's a silver perch there. Whoop. Sorry about that, buddy. There's a silver perch right there. Okay, this guy's probably about 6 inches long. Oops. Dropped him in the sand there. I think he'll be okay. We're gonna let him go back into the ocean. Just pick him up nice and gently. Don't break any of the fins when you do this. Like that. Okay. It's a little bit dirty, but this will come right off. The sand will come right off as soon as he hits that water. Look at him, he's not even twitching. They're very gentle, these silver perch, which is great for their own sake, because this will help him to better survive. If they wiggle around a lot, they lose scales, and they hurt themselves generally. So this guy's gonna survive. He's gonna be okay. All right, so what I did is on this long one, it was starting to come off here from all the biting action going on. This end part was coming off, and instead of letting it go bye-bye, just pulled it off. You still got a little jiggly portion there. The jiggly portion, that's the portion there that attracts the fish, because that's what makes it look alive. Even though it looks real here, this makes it look alive when it's moving. So that's why it's important to give your line a little shake. And so what we'll do is we'll add this one to this guy here, and then you always see the little portion at the bottom there hanging off. So that's what attracts the fish there. That'll get them. But sometimes when they're too small, they just bite that right off and you lose it, but that's the way it goes. We're gonna change the hooks here. We're gonna go here for a little bit of a bigger hook and shaped a little bit differently. I love these ones. These are the Eagle Claw. They call them all-purpose live and chunk bait hooks. Size 1/0. And you can see they got their own, a shape of their own there. The only thing I wish these guys had is I wish they had the little barbs right here on the back for the worms. It'll hold the worms on better. But you got to work with what you got. So, and this is one of the best hooks for catching perch that I've used. This one, and then there's also a 2/0 size. The 2/0 is pretty good too. I think we could get some perch action going. This little trench right behind it. So here's one of my techniques for fishing with gulp worms. The worms look like the real thing. They look like real pile worms. They like the taste of them, obviously, because they bite and then they bite again. Something on there. Let's bring it in. See what we got. Let's tighten this drag up a little bit. It's got a little bit of weight to it. Oh, looks like there's two of them. Okay. A lot of these silvers out there today. Let's see what we got here. Oh, they might be keepers. Let's see. Like I said, I like to keep them if they're 7 inches or bigger. Okay. I think these are good enough to keep. Okay, let's take a look at this guy. This guy looks a little bit smaller than the other guy, but see, this guy's 8 inches here, so Okay. Let's take a look at this guy here. This one is almost 9 inches. Okay. All right. Sometimes your eyes can deceive you. Almost thought about throwing that one back there, but one of those hooks is pretty close to his eye too, so it might have hit a nerve or something. That's not a nice way to live. So, and it will taste good in the frying pan. I'll show you how I bleed these out. I bleed all my fish out. This is that, what was it, about 9 inches? 9-inch silver perch. And what you want to do is you want the heart to pump all the blood out of the body, because the blood doesn't taste good. Nobody wants to eat fish blood. So you want to get most of that out of there. The heart is right here. Okay, and then the main artery that pumps the blood out to the gills, okay, is right here. And that's what we're going to cut. Or you could just cut the gills. That'll make it easy. Just go down here. And I also want to say that if you don't like blood, you don't want to look at this. You might want to jump forward in the video. But this is the reality of it right here. And there you'll be able to see the heart pumping the blood forward. There it is. There's the blood coming out. There it is. There it is. Like I said, not a pretty sight, but that is life and death of a fish. And you can see that blood coming through. Pump all that blood out, and your fish tastes better. Okay, I think it's about time to get out to our crab snaring spot. You can also catch a lot of fish out there. Or you can even stand on this rock here if you don't want to get too wet or take the risk of climbing this little wall over here, which I'm going to do in just a minute. But you can see there's still some water in here. You got to be careful. Even just like a couple of feet of water can drag you out depending on how firm your grip is on the ground. So you got to watch yourself and never turn your back on waves. Otherwise you don't know what's coming next. Count your intervals. I'm going to wait right now. Right now it's kind of rugged. I'm going to wait till it smooths out. There is this interval where I got like about 1 minute to get up there, and I need less than that. You gotta move fast, otherwise you end up in the ocean. Okay, there we go. We beat, well, we got up here anyways. All right, one more trip through this gauntlet here, since we still got to get our bucket and a tripod. That's where we came up, right there. So here's the wave still coming in, but like I said, we're going towards almost a zero low tide, and right now we're probably at about 5 feet. So if you can imagine the level of the ocean by the time we hit the low tide will be 5 feet lower. I could probably just walk right through this trench, which I've done on many occasions before. Again, it depends on how high the sand is, how high or low. I do not recommend people doing this. It's not extremely safe. There's a good chance you lose your footing, you end up right there taking a swim. But There we go. Okay, rule number one, don't get so caught up in your photography that you forget about your equipment. Just dropped my bucket there, but you don't want to drop anything in the water because there's a pretty good chance you're never going to see it again. Yeah. So there we go. And that's the little thing we just climbed up right there after walking through the water there. And this is where we're headed. To that little point there. Right there in the center of the screen to the left. That little plateau, so to speak. That is where we are going, and we're going to go by walking right down through here. No more water. And I think we're going to take our waders off right about here. It's starting to get kind of hot out here today. Okay, I feel a little bit cooler now as I've taken off all this stuff. One thing I should mention, if you're going to be climbing out on these rocks, make sure do it in long pants, long shirt, have gloves on, have some good boots or hiking shoes. And there's something you need to know about these rocks is that they're very sharp. Take a look at these rocks here. That's just some of them. More of them look kind of like this here. And as you can see back on the beach, they make beautiful sand. They make beautiful sand when the ocean wears them away. But while they're like this, they're very sharp. And let me show you what I did to my waders just on that one climb. See this right here? It didn't go all the way through, but I snagged. I snagged on one of those rocks. Yeah. So be careful out here. You don't want that to be your skin. Here's another look of that trench we just came through. That's why I wouldn't advise people to take this route. It can be pretty rugged in here. And oh, along here too, the water's moving outward along these rocks here. So if you fall in here, there's a good chance you'll end up somewhere out there. Now it's time to do some crabbing. See all that smooth water out there? When of course a big wave isn't rushing in. That's where we're gonna dump it. So let's get this snare out in the water. Okay, here we go. Snare time. Okay, so good. This is the same squid I've had in there for a couple of hours, so tied up, but crabs aren't picky at all. They'll eat anything. Okay, so here we are up on our little fishing area that we climbed up to. Out on the rocks, there's the crabbing pole, and I threw it out right over there about in the center of the picture there. There's no rocks there, nothing for it to get snagged on. I just have to keep an eye on this red line here to make sure it doesn't get tangled up in those rocks, for instance. Because if it does, then I lose my crab snare, and I've only brought one of those out here with me. I did see it move there, like maybe a crab is pulling at it, and it's been there for a while. So before I throw the fishing line out there, let's see if we got a crab. Keep the tension on it. Nope, there's nothing there. I thought I felt a little resistance, but there is absolutely nothing. It's not like a fish where you can feel it moving. Looks like most of that's in there still, but there's been somebody nibbling on it, I think, because it's a little bit smaller. So we'll put more squid in here, throw it out there, and then we'll get the fishing line back in the water. Okay, let's see if we can land this crab snare right about there, about 60, 70 yards out. Let's give it a shot. Good enough. Now we'll put this over here and we'll get back to fishing. As I said, these rocks are sharp. You see those things I got underneath my guides? That's to help protect them against these rocks. Not a good idea to lean it up against these rocks here. Okay, right out there, if you look, I think we got a whale traveling south and feeding on the way, and there's another whale over there. If you can see what looks like a little bit of mist rising from the ocean, and over here all those little birds, they're circling the whale because they know the whale's dropping food all over the place. There's a couple of them out there. So anyhow, right now I'm getting small bites on this line. I'm right down over there in front of these rocks, and I'm hoping whatever is small there eventually attracts the big fish to come by and really take a bite at my bait. But it feels like a pint-sized fish right now is all that's out there. Keep the tension on the line, that's what they say. Woo! I've actually got a crab. I don't believe it. My first one this season. And there we go. Dungeness crab for dinner. Well, you better measure them first. I think that's good though. That looks about to be the size that is legal. So we'll measure them out, and if so, throw them in the bucket. Measured him, and he is 6.5 inches. That is what we call a keeper. We're not putting them in the bucket because I got the fish in there, and that's why I brought this little bounty bag that I picked up at the diving store. This is the best way to pick up Dungeness crab, by the way. You get these two legs back here, and then they can't swing around and get you with their claws, because that doesn't feel good. Oh, that's a nice one. Okay, it looks like we got another crab. This one doesn't feel as heavy as the other one, and maybe it's my imagination. That's fun. Oh yeah, this guy's definitely a lot smaller, and it's a little deformed. He's missing He's missing a bunch of legs on this side over here. Oh, I guess that's not a deformity. We probably lost them in a battle with a fisherman or another creature. And now these ones here, these little legs are growing back. This guy looks pretty small. I don't think this is a keeper. Oh, this guy's a survivor. He is 6 inches across the shell there, but he has very small legs, which makes me suspicious that he's been through quite a few battles. And he's got these small little claws growing back here, not much meat in them. Most of the meat that you get from a crab is going to be in the legs, and look how skinny these legs are. So this guy will get to live a little bit longer and hopefully grow to be nice and healthy going back in the water. Way to lay down your crabbing pole after you throw it out in the water there. Just like I said, these rocks are sharp, so you don't want this. If you want this equipment to last long, you don't want it touching these rocks here. So just put this down here. This kind of gives it like a little thing to hang on to right there in a reverse way. But over here, I'm glad I wore these thermals today, because look what I've done with them. They're keeping this guy from getting all scratched up here. Let's see if we can catch another crab from out there. Okay, there we go. That's a little snugger hold there for the crabbing pole. Right there. If something starts pulling on it, then there's a better chance I don't lose that pole. I rarely use 2 poles, but since I'm out here and there's nobody else even around, it's not like I'm going to snag somebody or get in somebody's way or cause some kind of safety problem like that. So I'm going for the 2-pole thing. Might have been better actually if I brought one of those big nets out here. Of course, that'd be kind of cumbersome to lug all the way out here. Well, just a thought anyways. Okay, let's throw this fishing line back in the water. Okay, it's about 10 minutes later, and it looks like this line is moving, this crab line. So let's bring this puppy in, see if there's something on there. Certainly does feel like it. Now, there's definitely some weight on there. So, like Mark was saying, keep the tension on. Don't let it go. I see the legs sticking up in the air, and this looks like a nice one. Looks like one that has nice legs and is healthy. And I snared him like that, fair and square. Oh yeah, that's a keeper. Will you look at that? And look at how much of the bait this guy ate. I could have easily brought 2 packs of squid out here with me, but well, I brought what I brought. So this is crab number 2, which is nice. Oh, and this is a male. Take a look at him. Yeah, that's what you want. The females have the big clusters of eggs on them, and they don't pinch you. Across the carapace, or whatever you call that thing there. From here to here, that's where you got to measure it. And it's got to be more than 5 3/4. So this is a keeper with nice, big, juicy, look at those claws. Woo! This guy's a rock star. Okay, we got another crab, I think. Oh yeah, I see the legs. There it comes. There it is. Keep the tension on. Keep the tension on. This looks like a keeper. Keeper number 3. Look at that. Okay. And you see how the slip knot works on the leg. So once that slip knot is tight, you don't want to loosen it up. Just keep on pulling and bring it all the way in. Okay, we got another crab. Let's see. Looks like it might be a keeper. That one's a beauty. Hey, this crab snare, the slip knots keep their shape like that. This is really a very well put together crab snare. And we're doing good. We're up to 4 keepers right now. Okay, when you're snaring for crabs, like I am with this pole here, you can watch the line, and if the line gets taut and then it goes slack and then it gets taut again, something's moving it around. Most likely a crab, because the fish, they'll smell the bait, but since it's all inside that thing there, they're not going to be able to get at it until a crab starts pulling it out. So I just saw this line do exactly what I was talking about, so we're going to yank this one in and see if we got something. Oh, that's a big negative. Absolutely nothing on there from the get-go. I didn't feel a thing. Okay, so I'm imagining things. But anyways, there's our crab snare. Look at those loops. I love these crab snares. I'm gonna have to pick up a few more of them. Oh yeah, those loops are wide open. There are some crab snares where this part here doesn't stay wide open and it keeps slipping down this way, and that's not going to catch you too many crabs. This is the kind of crabs. Wow, look at this ocean and look at this view you get from up here. Huh? Dangerous. That's all hard rock and hard muscle. There's no getting down there though. Well, you could, but you'd be taking your chances for sure, because the waves are constantly breaking up in there all the time. Now, there's the south side of the beach. There's where we fished last week, way down there. Way down towards the south. Down this way here. The highway leads to Montara. Montara, the main beach, is past, not that first one there, but this second rock in the back that comes out like that. When you go around that, then you're on Montara State Beach. You can't fish the south side of that beach. But anyways, what I was getting to is that for whatever reason, fish ain't digging the grubs today. So we've taken the grubs and we put them to the side for now. They seal up real nice and keep the juice in the packet. What I do is I buy the bottle ones with the juice, and if this kind of dries out in here, then I just put some of the bottle juice in here. So they call that Gulp Live, because it keeps these things from drying out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some reel bait here. What these are pieces of squid from the legs. These are squid legs, so they can move around a little too. They could dance around, and you might want to jiggle your line if you got these on there to make them look like they've got some life to them. But either way, this is the real McCoy, and it's hard for fish to turn down the real McCoy. Maybe they just ain't in a mood for the taste of the grubs today. I don't know. It's hard to say. You can't really get inside a fish's mind as much as I'd like to. I'm sure it's a very simple mind. But nevertheless, this is what we're going to put in there and see if we pull up anything. Okay, well, let's bring this puppy up. There we go. That's a keeper silver. That's about a 9-incher right there. It's about time they showed up. And so let's put this puppy in the bucket. Yeah, that's very nice. That's about 9 inches right there. At least one with a lot of energy in it. Wow. Oh, okay, it's not a perch, it's a smelt fillets. Oh boy. Usually these guys hit in schools, and I wasn't really thinking to stay much longer, but Hey, look at that fish there. That is a big fish. Jack smelt. There are so many of these out there. You never know when they're going to show up either. There might be some ways. Maybe if you had a drone, you could fly it out there and look for the big schools of them. But anyways, there it is. There's smelt number one. Whopper. I didn't want to release the tension on my line and lose them. So I turned on the GoPro once I got them out. See, once you get them out of the water and they're hanging like that, you pretty much got them. I'm sure that's a keeper. See, once you get these two back legs here, oh, there goes the loop, came right out. That's why you don't want to release the tension on the loop there. Oh yeah, that's a beauty. And you can see how quickly these guys chomp away at this squid. They are some fast eaters, and you want to keep it tight in there, so if it goes down like that, you want to shove another piece in here so it's nice and tight, packed in there hard, so that it's harder for them to just slide it right out. If you just put one small piece of squid in there and it was loose, they could slide it out and be gone just like that before you know it, and you'd miss your crab. That means I have a fish on that line, and I'm not sure if it's a smelt or a perch. Let's find out. Well, let's see. It looks like a silver perch. Well, crab pole right there, and you see that slack in the line? I got to pull that up before it gets tangled on a rock there. You see that red line coming from the end of the pole and going out that way? Well, that could mean that a crab has picked it up and brought it closer towards me, and that's why there's so much slack all of a sudden. It could be just the tide pushing it. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what we got here. Well, it was just the tide. And there's a crab snare. Well, there might have been something going on right here. Suspicious, but could have been anything. Well, you look at these guys. You don't necessarily need to keep them in water with the air pump going. If you're going to take them home right away, and there goes the sun at Grey Whale Cove, Montara State Beach. This is a good time for the perch to start biting. There's something about the sun going down that tells them, hey, I don't know what it tells them actually, but I like to think that they're thinking, hey, it's going to be a little bit harder to see in a few minutes. Let's start biting. But we got some stuff to clean up. We've got 5 nice Dungeness crab to put in the boiling water. And we got 4 silver surf perch and 1 big jack smelt. As you can see, there's hardly anyone out here, and it's been a nice day. And it's been like this all day too. I know the sun is setting right now, so you might think, oh, okay, well, everybody's already taken off. No, this is about what it's been like all day out here. And so as soon as I pack up the rest of my stuff here, we're gonna walk right through there in my tennis shoes. And that's what 5 Dungeness crabs in your sink look like. What we're going to do is we're going to pull the backs off and then break them in half and throw them in boiling water.